Hi guys, in this video I've got yet more halflings for you, this time from Harlaquin miniatures.
Gruffy Crow.
Okay, I said these guys Harlaquin miniatures, black tree designs, or this Orbis. I will get it out of the way fairly early on. I've had mixed luck ordering from Black Tree before, and I know other people have had orders relatively quickly and orders that have taken months and months. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone not getting their miniatures ever, but yeah, sort of use at your own risk. It's an interesting old website, all sorts of sort of very retro style models and some very nice sculpts. So let's get these guys out. These are the two Archer packs, and they're quite lovely little characterful miniatures, especially like this guy, this little mug. So the first thing that strikes me is these are quite dainty little sculpts. I was kind of hoping to use them alongside these Games Workshop Lump and Croup miniatures that I'm restoring at the moment. And unfortunately I do not think they're going to fit well in an army together. They're just a bunch shorter, very similar sort of proportions, which is what I was kind of hoping on. We've got one in a similar pose, but just way shorter. So that means I probably won't be putting them on these squares. I think they're going to be better off on some rounds, and then they can be sort of merged in with my Oathmark armies. So I'm going to get these guys based up on the rounds, and we'll put some sand on, and we'll get an undercoat on them. Okay, I finished basing up these little fellas, and they've had a coat of grey primer, and I always think that you can't actually fully get a feel for a mini until it's been primed, and these have actually come out way nicer than I initially thought they were. They're lovely little minis, because initially I was just disappointed that they weren't really going to fit in with these ones, but they're still charming little minis. Let's slap some paint on them. So I'm going to do these basically the same scheme as I've done all the rest of the halflings in my woodland army, so green and yellow. I'm not going to go into amazing levels of detail, so it should only take me a couple of hours. Okay, these little fellas have had a good old coat of paint, and they are looking pretty fantastic. Like most hand sculpted minis, they were a lot of fun to paint. They're nice smooth little sculpts, plenty of interesting little details, just nice clean fun to paint. They kind of remind me of the sort of pre-slaughter halflings I painted recently as well. They've got that kind of style. Before we finish up the bases, let's compare them to a few other halflings that I've got in my army. And we have a whole selection of halflings to compare them to. So the bulk of my army is these cobblestone halflings from North Star. And as you can see already, these guys are a lot shorter and squatter. But I think they probably are going to look kind of cool in the same unit. Just little stubby guys. So that's not too bad. And then alongside them, the second most popular unit is these other cobblestone halflings from Forlorn Hope and Milton and stuff, which are more or less the same sculpts as the North Star ones, but they do have smaller heads, which gives them that kind of slightly more slender look, so it's a more obvious difference. These guys really are tiny, because these are still quite small halflings. So you can have the same problem with the Lord of the Rings ones, similar size, different sort of proportions. Got a black scorpion halfling here, tons bigger. But once again, I think within the variation maybe that you would get in a halfling village. That's kind of cool. Massive TC combat fella here. I'm not a massive fan of those ones. We've got a Midland miniatures girl here. These ones are a bit squatter than the North Star ones, but tend to be a little bit bigger. So once again, quite big compared to these little fellas. This one is Redbox Games, and that's actually not a bad comparison. Once again, short little squat fellas. And finally, we've got this guy. So he's one of the few that I've got, I believe, were Harlaquin back in the day, part of their Lord of the Rings range. Were then moved currently to Scotia Grendel via Black Tree. Completely different, so that's interesting. I said, as far as I know, these were both technically Harlaquin miniatures at some point. But again, we've got that kind of finer scale. It brings this guy more in line with these ones, even if they are still a bit smaller. Which makes these guys probably the smallest halflings I have. I think the Ralpatha ones might be even shorter, but yeah, these are the smallest halflings in the army. But I've picked mostly archers out of the rest of them. And I think all bundled into a unit, they're going to look fine. So let's finish their bases and we'll take a look. And here they are, all freshly based and ready for battle. And as you can see with the other halflings in the army, it almost looks like they're taking the kids out for archery practice. And although these are lovely figures, I think they're possibly a little bit pricey for building whole units. But they're certainly nice, fun little old hammer styled sculpts if you didn't just need a handful of halflings or something. And although I can recommend the sculpts, I can't necessarily recommend Black Tree as a source of minis because I've heard too many sort of horror stories of extended waits and dodgy sculpts and not the best customer service. But there are definitely some interesting sculpts on that website, so it might still be worth taking a look if you do want to gamble on that. And that's all for this video. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments, maybe subscribe for more, and as ever, thanks for watching, bye!